Here we are again with Codebreaker Real Talk. I have my co-host, Chad Cooper,
Hi.
and TomAlthouse, and we have some news today. We have another TomAlthouse here.
Oh my goodness.
Tell them
What's
what
that?
happened.
That's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
I love it. Isn't that funny?
Why,
Well, they're
why
gonna
do
have
you
some
think? Why do you think they're giving you such a hard time, Tom?
because I'm revealing the total thing with like the Ukraine, the thing with Brian Fitzpatrick, as we talked about, lifelong FBI, how evil the CIA actually is, and how it's common knowledge in our country too. I mean, if you look at any of the documentaries or any of the information, even on YouTube, about the CIA, its beginnings, what it did, and everything else, it commits murder throughout the world. It commits murder against its own citizens. It takes down presidents it doesn't like. It's unbelievable what the CIA gets away with. We've got something worse than Nazi Germany, Gestapo in our world, and it's right in our own country. And that's why I put it in the original screenplay. Now I know why God has me add it there, is because the CIA is the Smith agents in the screenplay, in the original Matrix. So it's like, oh my gosh.
You
The
know,
world, yeah, go
I
ahead.
was listening to Dark Journalist yesterday on Mesmer and Mozart, and you know, the metronome, right? I've been playing my violin since I was in fourth grade, and what they did is they synced the metronome to different energies. So imagine what the heck were they doing to us as kids and even older when I was with the Philharmonia and the mariachi and all that. When you focus to something, your mind, what are they doing to you out here when you're so focused on the music? You know, they're putting you to sleep. The metronome.
Right.
And Mesmer was actually Mozart's godfather. Okay, so he was a hypnotist, Mesmer, and he talks about animal magnetism, right, on one of the books. But he talks about how what is it, Chad, that you do, that HHQ, QHHT, or the hypnosis, right? So there's suggestions. Okay, and we are magnets because he discovered Mesmer discovered that we are the magnet, and we can magnetize people. So if I tell you, Chad and Tom, that if you buy my water, right, if you drink my water, I have magnetized it with healing of cancer, and I drink it, it has my essence, and I give it to you, you're gonna heal. It's that easy, right? So what does the CIA do? They put people in trance. What did they do to me at Seletzi when I was a police officer? They put me in trance 3 times. What did they want? Well, maybe that's when everything happened that I'm not going to go into happened. Maybe it was that trigger, we'll just say.
Well, if you look at our jobs, like people doing jobs, they make it like more than 9 to 5. Both men and women have to work in a single family. It's like they have to keep working hard, and they're just dulling them down, doing repetitive, basically, mostly repetitive work over and over, day in, day out, day in, day out. It's like, what's that going to do to your mind? Atrophy your ability, your thoughts, everything. We're robbing people of their ability to have a quality life in a country that says that that's what this is all about. Freedom? What? Freedom to be enslaved. It's just, I'm absolutely blown away that they'll destroy their own artists, take the work, and claim it's their right. I mean, you look at Dulles. We got Dulles Airport, right? Dulles Airport. Dulles is the worst criminal in history, probably worse than Hitler. And he's got an airport named after him in our country. In the future, people will look back at this country at this time and wonder, it won't be Nazi Germany they hate the most. It'll be the USA they hate the most. We have been doing horror to countries, people, citizens all around the world. Then I find out, as I felt led to research last night, which pisses me off, that it wasn't just the Russians that raped underage girls and women, Fräulein, in Germany when the war ended. It was British, Americans, French, Moroccans, African Americans, GIs, hundreds of thousands of women, young girls. They showed one case where, and they didn't want to talk about it. But we didn't bring it forward. The CIA thought it would be a bad thing if the truth was told about US GIs raping women in mass, just like the Russians did. They decided, the CIA, Dulles, that they would blame the Russians. So we all know that the Russians are like rape squads in World War II. Well, the US also was. The US GIs also were. The French especially. The British soldier, yes. We don't know how many. It's over 160,000. Allied troops. And then you look at what happened in Britain with the bombing campaign. What was that one city?
And not only that, Chad, were you going to say something before I talk about the celluloid balls?
So yeah, I was going to ask Tom to clarify, just because I know there's a FBI connection with Patrick Fitzgerald, but now it's a CIA connection as well, or the two agencies intertwined at all, or
two agencies intertwined along with the 15 other ones. The 17 agencies are all combined under the umbrella protection of Brian Fitzpatrick of the FBI, who's congressman, on the Ways and Means Committee. So what you have, it's a mouthful, what you have is they stop oversight over all the agencies. All the agencies are in bed together. There is no shiny agency because they are all doing harm. And when my sister brags about the FBI is going to take me down, she also throws in the Secret Service is going to come. So it's like they're all just one big animal from the Pentagon. And that's why during 9/11, Cheney was seated right there in the operations room at the Pentagon. Pentagon controls Ukraine. It's so basic. And when I was being courted by the CIA operatives in the Masons on Maui, they were talking about how ridiculous the public is, that they don't understand about the pancake theory being a joke on the towers, and that they actually got away with it. That's why they're recruiting me. And one of their main points is, don't try to make a difference in the public or for the public, because the public are animals and idiots. That's how they see them. Assets at best. And what they see it as is a stretching floor, weeding out those that have some merit and eliminating the rest. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Right now, they're at war with the ones that can reveal them. They're the main targets. But those that mock those that are being targeted are next. We're actually their shield. As soon as people like ourselves are removed, then the rest that have been mocking will be eliminated because they have no use. They're considered lower ranking than us, according to the agencies. It's unbelievable. We've been protecting fodder. We've been protecting people who don't give a care about anything. And it's like, there are those that do matter to me now that are actually the young, the elderly, and those that actually try to use analytical thinking and actually try to make sense of things apart from what they're news fed, you know. But I'll tell you, it's gotten
so in a sense, you're kind of agreeing with them. I know I don't, and I do, because it's with the general public, because we try to reach out to them, but they're not interested, you know, and so in a sense, yeah. So I get what they're saying.
Well, I agree too with you on that too. I mean, it's agreement.
So I like that you're saying the young and the elderly, you're now focusing on.
I'd like to save them if I can through my work.
Yeah.
Those that are wasteful individuals that just take pride in themselves and embody into the system for that are considered wasteful by the agencies are actually wasteful. But here's the point.
Okay.
I don't believe anybody should be cleansed out. I don't believe anybody should be eliminated. Everybody has potential, even if some of them are idiots. So if I walked into a room with the agency heads right now, like they had me at dinner with John Walsh and gave me that card, please extend every courtesy at that one point. If I was at that dinner right now, or a dinner taking place after that now, we would come to an agreement on certain ideas, like certain segments of the population are stupid. Yeah, I would 100% agree. But no one should lose their lives. Everybody should have their chance. We should not be living in deception and lies or planning to harm others. If we do not value every individual on this planet, then there's no hope for humanity. If we do value every individual, even if some of them are actual a-holes, there's hope, because we're lifting humanity together. If we don't lift it together, there's no lifting. You can't start to make a gray area of who comes and who doesn't. The elite already have taken care of that. They've already assigned status to each person. My musing is that those of us that are considered high-level targets from them, because we're trying to help the masses, just ponder that. We're high-level targets because we're not letting the masses go and be cleansed out. We're being invited on the bus. We're being invited on the train to a utopia life in the future, they're claiming. We're going to have the best of the best, they said, because of our intellects and creativity, ability, and things like that. So, but we're being persecuted because we're trying to save those that are kicking and screaming and mocking us. That's the quandary.
Yeah. You know, and they're being programmed, you know, going back to the mesmer, they're being programmed to keep stupid, you know, excuse me, but that's really what it is. And I was listening to Santos Bonacci right as we came up, where he talks about the chakra system. And he was saying, if someone were to give you a blue laser and you were to be fighting against with someone that had a red laser, right? Chakras, the blue laser would always win because the blue has more petals than the red. Green has 12 petals. That's our heart chakra. And what it is we're attuned, right? So what they, back in Atlantis, what they wanted is for us to be attuned to Saturn, which is Satan. And it's not just one entity, okay? It's Kronos. That's who pretty much is in charge there. Now, the other people that worship Esau was the god from Jupiter, okay? And then that's Zeus. Remember we talked about Thor and how he was taken to see Zeus, and that whole section there was made out of gold, and then they put him like a cross here. They were trying to crucify him. They were trying to cut his energy because the cross actually cuts energy. So every time somebody crosses themselves, like when I used to be Catholic, when you cross yourself, you're actually just disconnecting the left from the right brain. Now, what Santos Bonacci said, that the brain, our brain, is the Lamb of God. It's in Aries, okay? And our vortice, our torso is Taurus. And when we sing a new song, we have 144,000 petals, right? Colors, chakra. The chakra system is 144,000. So he was talking about, hey, you know, once you get rid of this, hey, I have to buy this, or I have to be the best doctor, engineer. Once you get rid of what they here want us to be so attached to, materialism, right? The darn song with Madonna, material girl, all that BS, the Kardashians, all that, they want to keep, especially the women, you know, and transvestites, they want to keep them in that, while we're over here trying to ascend, singing a new song, meditating, not having to worry about Bitcoin, the money, you know. Man, food is so expensive, I know, but I know it's hard to survive every day. I'm not saying, hey, you stop working, but try and find something. I'm talking to the public, try and find something that you can do with your energies, like hypnotism, you know, like counseling. You, Tom, what you're doing with your new playwrights and things like that to help humanity. We're trying to ascend and help other people ascend. And going back real quick to the CIA, it's all under umbrella project. You know, they have the Navy, they have DOD, Vanguard, CIA, you know, and it's like they're bombarding people with memes. That's why social media, it's really, really hard for young kids, even now, even the people that are in their 20s or 30s, to get off of social media, because they are magnetized, they are mesmerized into the screen. As soon as you see a screen, boom, you don't even know what's behind there. Sometimes they'll put like demons and then they'll say something positive. So it's like they're kind of trying to cross you, like confuse you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, I went on.
No, it's okay. No, I just been thinking how we could solve a lot of the world's problems if we just make life simpler, easier, and we cut our work week. It's like, let's let people do something that matters. And that certainly isn't the office job. And that certainly isn't the factory job. It's like making jobs for jobs' sake, making jobs so people stay busy. And then you're separating it from their children. If you had, I'd love to see a film basically where there's two parallel lives. One is living where he just refuses, or she refuses to work and is living with her family, and they're making it out in the wilderness or something. And then you got the other where they're slaving the job away, missing the life's events, and they come to the end of their road. And who do you think has more regrets? You know, the one that put overtime for what? So somebody else can play golf? So the CIA, you know, the CIA is not working hard. The FBI is not working hard. When you get groomed and brought into these organizations like the religious right, it's all cush. It's all easy. It's all sweet time. There is not, you don't overwork, because they know there's a connection between overworking and unhealthy. And so when you're in the inside the cabal, you got it easy. You got it lazy. You got it nice. And when you're outside the cabal, feeding the system, you're working yourself to death. You're being dulled down. You're not able to really create.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's just unbelievable. That's also part of the reason that Matrix story came around. I was bucking what was there. I saw it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. And at that time, I had seen the cush life on the other side with the religious right. And Walsh at that dinner with the FBI with me. I saw what they were promising me, what the Wachowskis were promised. What were the Wachowskis promised by Dean Laurentiis? Riches, fame, and beautiful starlets. Basically, play, abuse, take advantage of, gain, be famous, popular. You don't have to think. Make $1 million a year. $1 million a year was their contract when they failed at everything. So what the cabal does is take failed people and bring them in. And the ones that are a threat to them are the ones that are actually creative and genius. Unless you join and work against your fellow mankind and womankind. Yeah. We owe a huge apology to the women of Germany. We owe a huge apology to the Cherokee Nation. We owe a huge apology to Japanese Americans. We owe a huge apology to German Americans. A huge apology to Irish immigrants. We owe a huge apology. This country basically should be on its knees begging forgiveness from every soul on this planet that's not American.
I know. Did you know that if you put your birth certificate number in the stock market, you're going to see how much billions of dollars we're worth?
Yeah.
Playing us in the stock market. Now, speaking of golf courses, I was listening to Douglas Dietrich last night, and he might be on the show next week. We'll see. He was saying that he was targeted by Michael Aquino, just like I was, and other people in the space program. He was talking about the Voxarka, the mask that they wear. In movies like Eyes Wide Shut, when they do their, when they want to bring in an entity, when they want to bind up an entity, okay, the Voxarka brings the entities to allow binding, or you can release them. So speaking of HAARP and speaking of the golf courses, he was saying that in every HAARP facility, you will find an empty space. What is that empty space? Well, the empty space in the HAARP facilities contain an anti-gravity god not visible to the human eye, and they have to have a golf course. So he also talks about the hookah cross or the swastika that binds these demons or entities. Now, he says that when he uses a Voxarka to calibrate, I have to ask him what he means by calibrate. The Voxarka has this mouthpiece that you can't yell or you can't put out your tongue because it grinds it. Okay, so these people were experimented in prison in California. There were some prisoners there that volunteered to bring in entities because they said, now Aquino said that all of their minds together, because remember the unconscious mind is all wielded together, he could read their mind saying, if I can just bring in this entity, I can fly on its wings and get the F out of here. break free from this prison compound, right?
Mhm.
Well, it didn't happen because some of them died when the entities came in because they couldn't scream or anything. So this stuff is real, guys. This it's
You know,
horrible
what's-
what they've done.
Yeah, what kills me too is that many of our greatest people, my sweetest people, are ending up in psych hospitals. They're being pushed there. You're being told by counselors that you care too much, that you're not in touch with reality because you feel too much for humanity, for life, for living things. And they want to put you on medication. It's unbelievable. They take your work and they call you crazy. And it's like, and you can see across from you these people that are actually so empty. Like they said in Avatar, empty cup. And it's like, if you put them in the psych ward, they'll go nuts. These people that are actually counseling, I end up each time I end up in sessions trying to see if I can get, protection from being hauled off. I end up counseling the counselors every single time. I got hit on by counselors. It's like, it's just the people in the system are broken and they want to feel superior often to those that are free of it. There's an envy, I don't know how many times I've been complimented by those that were trying to put me away. But there's this dichotomy. It doesn't make any sense. And so many of the people I'm closest to, they get hauled off. And then they try to convince them there's something wrong with them. But I can see them for who they are. They got good hearts. But this world is not set right now. And I know a lot of people listening know that. It's not set for good hearts. What was I told? What would I have? The finest of life for my son and I, the last surviving son. If what? If I didn't care? If I didn't try to make a difference? What kind of world is that? And I said, honestly, I can't do that. And then I got others that were borderline good people saying you should have taken the offer. Pretend. No, I believe there can be a world where we actually do care. And that world's worth it. And that's what I was writing about. And then even that work was hijacked like that. Hijacked. It's like, again, until we apologize, until we allow people to speak their truth without being shut down and being called nonsense, until we actually teach the truth, we're not going to have that world that would fit us best. And again, look at the Matrix story, which boggles my mind. Warner Brothers doesn't even claim the Matrix title. They don't even claim it. Their top person, Kate Chilton, said, no, we don't claim it. We claim the green scrolling blips. They copyright the Immortals. They copyright my title, just the title, and give it to Tom Hanks. I'm blown away. So they've been trying to convince me the public's stupid, back to that topic. Yes, they're right. The public's stupid. I get it. Okay. But I still wouldn't change the way I wrote. I wrote as if audiences were intelligent. So that original work is still a beacon to audiences being intelligent in the future. And now in our time, people can get it. They can get it. I think they understand what's going on. We've had idiots ruling over us. And after a while, you remove the idiots. And, I'm not going to let my child's welfare be determined by idiots. I'd rather hold the reins. I'd rather drive that car with other people that have good hearts. And you and Chad have great hearts. And I don't know who this other TomAlthouse is, but I think that's a nice touch. I mean, I have to give it to the cabal. They do have a sense of humor at times. I'll give them that. I'll give them that in their, cynical way. It also, one more thing is when the Illuminati contacted me a number of times, sending the red envelopes and sending the messages, what really struck me was they said the phrase, yours is not to question, yours is to obey. I thought, well, if that's your organization, then you're a bunch of idiots, and what they do, they send a tape threatening that they could destroy anyone on earth, and they're able to. I'm like, great, if that's what fuels your power, that's what makes you feel important. I said, I'm not giving up my sovereignty. I'm not going to give up my sovereignty. I wouldn't want to do that. And I said, you guys obviously already have. So why would I put you of dominion over me. I'd rather live my life free of that kind of servitude and serve by choice the people, life, all life.
Yes,
know?
that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to serve one another, right? Of course, making sure that we're healed first so we can help others heal and make sense of their life and find
And not live in fear. And not
Right.
live in fear.
their fear. Now, when he told you that he can get rid of the world, you know what that was. There are these anti-gravity beams that they have in HAARP. They release them. They tell them, hey, we're going to feed you 1,000 pig or human hearts, and please go ahead and destroy the world.
You know, I almost feel like writing a book, 1,000 distractions.
Do
You
it.
know, because that's how they operate. We could be talking right now, sharing as we are, and someone comes on and says this in the comments. You know, when they bring somebody in, look at Tom's eyes. He's got lizard eyes. They just turned to slits. Really? Seriously? You can watch the video. It never did. Freeze frame it, please, if it is. And then after photo, see 1,000 distractions. They have these people that act like idiots to try to get audience to act like idiots. They really do. It's like they're trying to lead the way over a cliff. And it's like, no way. But it's like, yeah. So I'm still here wondering, you know, do I release the other 16 screenplays at some point? Or does it make a point to burn them in a fire and say, the public's not worthy? You know?
No. You know what I think what we're gonna do is, I think Chad has a great idea of us when we go to our place. I'm not gonna say where. I know we
Right.
said it before, but I feel that if we keep going and getting together like this,
Yeah.
because Chad, he told me everything that how we're gonna do it. You can actually put parts of your screenplay and we can record it and we can put it in a documentary, you know?
That'd be
This is
beautiful.
gonna
I would
be our
love
first-
that. I would like that. Yeah. If there's a way forward like that, then God bless you all, Chad. Yeah. Because
you
that's,
think?
yeah. If we can do it privately and safely,
Yeah.
they can't intercede on it, then yeah, it could be set time capsuled for another time. So yeah, if need be.
It would actually go into the Akashic records because everything here on Earth is actually, I'll just call it photograph, but it's actually, everything is in, when you do, you know, when you go with stocking, when you do the stock, right, putting things up, everything is, I'll just say notarized. I can't think of the word right now, but everything is categorized. Everything, this phone, this shungite piece, this cup, everything that is made here on Earth is put in a file. So we have the Akashic records, and you would never be forgotten, Tom. We would never be forgotten. Why do you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think Joshua, I mean, was not forgotten? The real
I
Jesus.
think, yeah. Like if Chad's thinking here, if you're thinking like creating a safe database, a safe thing of these things for when it's right, I'm in. That makes sense. You know, that makes sense. But tell me what your thoughts are.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Well, let me get it back. Okay, so like in the beginning, I think they used to manipulate the population through paintings and art, depicting like us getting together romantically and cherubs, you know, encouraging it, like trying to develop romanticism. And then it goes to plays and like Shakespeare, and then it goes to the radio, you know, like with Hitler, what he was able to use. And then it goes to television. So are our actors and our sitcoms and our televisions actually making fun of us, or are they teaching us how to behave, the general public? Because I sometimes wonder, like I told you one time on a show before, like Sex in the City, I felt kind of ruined. New York City, Will and Grace kind of ruined the gay community because it like grooms you to be a certain way. And so I used to think they're just making fun of everybody. I thought, man, when people laugh at this, they're making fun of us right in front of our face, you know, like exaggerating how stupid we can be, or are they actually programming people to be that way?
It's
Okay.
both. They're
Okay.
mocking and they're showing you what they want you to be. They're telling you to step in line while they're mocking you, right? And so that's my take on it because, and then they're also trying to control and bring home by putting in plain sight all these messages that are, you know, like they did with my son and everything so clearly, that the public then is supposed to go, why does he think it's about him? When the other side's saying, yes, it's about you. Look how dumb the public is. Come home. You know, there's been this tug of war wrestling in my situation where I don't believe in ego. I was able to shed it, you know, and I thought it'd be much better if we were all together and creating a world together where it's like safe and vibrant and caring. And so I had to shed the ego to do that. I had to put myself last. And that's exactly what these psych people are saying. They're like, you can't do this. You can't put yourself last. You got to stop doing this. Stop trying to give so much. Stop trying to care so much. What is wrong? You know, so do they program in the sitcoms? Yes. And then even the psych field, they do too. In the psych field, they're going to tell you, look out for yourself. Make yourself first. You know, this kind of stuff. It's like, I'm much happier caring. Now that I'm accepting that most of the population is idiots, yes, they are. But can you blame them? You know, if you put me
No.
working in a factory, what? Say 8 to 10 hours a day in a factory, doing the same mindless thing over and over every day. Yeah, it's like Clockwork Orange with the eyes pinned open, watching the reels. After a while, you're going to be changed, tired.
That reminds me of the Flintstones when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He would, you know, so Fred would have to put these these toothpicks because he was so
Yeah.
tired and he had to work.
Yeah. And it's not far from the truth, right? It's like an industry with Red Bull, things like that. It's just like, we are so backwards, so backwards. Now, what if people were allowed to dream? They even tried to take that away from us, just that phrase. As a white person, I'm not allowed to say, I have a dream. Why? Because somebody else coined it that I respect, who just has a different shade than me? You know, enough. I have a dream. I think many people have a dream. What's the problem? You know, why is it taboo? Why is it taboo to say all lives matter? Why does that make someone racist? All lives do matter. You know, look what they've done. Look what the
Double
agencies have
speak.
done.
Yeah, they've switched what words mean almost. Like, yeah.
That's right.
It's just
The US Department of Health could not answer the question on what is a man or a woman. What's the definition of a man or a woman? They couldn't answer because they're too freaking afraid to, because everything's been inverted. It's just,
Yes.
it's absolutely amazing. You know what? It's like, I can answer those questions. I'm not afraid. You know, we're not afraid. You're not afraid. I'm not afraid. It's
Right.
like, it's pretty simple. They've made everything so complicated, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's more than
Like,
just body parts, Tom. I was having a
Yeah.
special talk with a young man who just graduated the university and he's in genetics and biology. And I said, you know, the only thing that I don't agree with is when the male gets a sex change to a female and wants to compete with the females. And
yeah.
well, I said, men are always going to be stronger than women. And then he brought up, because then I kind of like backed down because I'm like, well, I guess everybody's changing their physique. So you have to accept them because you can't say, oh, well, you're a transvestite, so I can't be a friend. No. But what he said is that the brain is the only thing that has not changed. That's why the man will always be stronger than a woman, because they have not been able to change the brain chemistry as far as that goes.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep,
So,
but there is a
like,
thing like the combination. Yeah. I mean, if like think about those adrenaline rushes, like if like they said about a child has the car fall on them and the parent, male or woman, male or female, suddenly has that adrenaline thing where they can lift it like a Superman. You know, it's like, yeah, I think a lot of what you're saying is true. It's like the conditioning we have, you know. What if little girls were raised to be warriors and little boys were raised to swish? So what? What about it? You know? And even Star Trek touched upon that, where the women were the strong ones, and the men were to be beautiful. What's wrong with that? You know, I wouldn't even care if our society switched it up. And it's like, you know, females will be masculine for a while and men will be feminine. So what?
Yeah, because
Who
you're
cares?
right, you're right, because we'll say when someone has a partnership or a marriage, it doesn't mean just because you're a woman, you have to stay at home. The man can stay at home and the woman can work. It doesn't, as long as there's an agreement. And I feel like you were talking about earlier, Tom, that they don't work that person that's out in the industry like a slave, like maybe cut it in half and then come home and have more time with the children and the partner, the husband or wife, like, wouldn't that be beautiful? I remember my father, I would only see him like Saturday mornings. He would get on one knee and hug me. And sometimes on Sundays, I'd see him. Once in a while, he would ask for a day off to go to a party. Or when I was going through the Catholic religion, I had to do my first communion. He had to go. He asked permission. But my father, even though he was sick, he would never take a day off. And that's how I would go to work, no matter what. I would never, unless it was like dire emergency. That's the way we were trained back in the day.
Well,
And
you
it's
just-
like, man, I
You just-
miss my father.
Yeah. Well, you just hit something. Those of us that are conscientious are the ones that become the best slaves, because we don't want to miss the work. We don't want to put it on someone else. We're the perfect for their system. But the thing is, those that are advanced often are the ones that aren't conscientious, that it's all about them. What phrase do we hear so much in our society now? What's in it for me? Yeah. And why is it we have in a society where it's flipped also, where when they steal intellectual property, they brag about the theft. They brag about the theft. We're not evolving. We're not developing into a better species. We've got the scum taking from those that are conscientious, taking from those that care and telling them they shouldn't care, taking our young and instituting them into the idea that they should not be caring. That if you can get away with it, do it. If you can cheat, more power to you. Just be sure to brag. I do not like this society. And then now everything is stamped misinformation. Misinformation. It's like, really? I'm holding a copyright to the biggest blockbuster, basically, that ever was. I'm not bragging. I'm simply saying, look what they got away with. And they brag about it. And the audacity of them to come up to me, their own attorneys, and say they're fans of my work. They know it was taken, but they're just doing their job. What's the job? Why is this job there? To take the work to steal it? To take away our rights? And that's just their job? So really, to change our country back, get rid of our legal system. Well, what are you going to replace it with, Tom? Anything. At this point, just give us a hiatus. Give us a chance to breathe from schmucks like Dulles that turned it into a circus of killing, espionage,
So
rape.
is this a way that AI cannot be weaponized? Is maybe we can use it for
Yes.
the lawyer system?
Yes.
Because that's what I would use to replace it right now. Because then we
I
get
agree.
instantaneous,
I agree 100%. And AI will be much more obedient than scumbags in the CIA or religious right people, which if they're with Pat Robertson, they are scumbags. I met them. I know how they think. It's all about them and the easy, laziest life. It's interesting. I just saw a thing. I believe God let me see this with Ralph Reed. Ralph Reed now looks exactly like Goebbels in World War II, the propaganda minister, if I said the name right. He looks exactly like him. Exactly like him, the guy I was groomed to be. And I'm watching him like, oh my God, how much plastic surgery have you had? He looks like Goebbels, whatever. It just looks like him exactly. And it's like it's very interesting. He is still in control, basically, pretty much of the Republican Party. There's a circus going on, and there's no heroes.
Yeah.
No heroes.
Yeah.
All the heroes have been buried.
Even again, going back to Santos Bonacci, he was saying that the Rockefellers are the Jesuits that control the Jehovah's Witness. And why? Because they're doing their finances since 1829. And this is from Jordan Maxwell. And and then also he was saying that the Russell family is the Rothschild, and they're, bringing in all the opiates. These people, going back to the Venetians, he said, they came from Venice and they spoke Hebrew, but then they made up the Phoenician, the wording, so that they can spell things in English. They made up that language, and that they hid in the ocean. That's why they have maritime law, and then they have law here above earth. So I find it really interesting. And who do they all, some of them praise Kronos, like I said earlier, the Satan people, and some of them do Jupiter, Esau. Now, what I find really interesting is Douglas Dietrich was saying that Trump was born red, and that he is supposed to be like the reincarnation of Marcus Aurelius, and also, I think it's Esau. And then that the red Messiah, when he comes back, that's pretty much going to be Trump, and that he's going to be the king of Israel. I don't know.
What's interesting is, that's the thing. They've also got us where we're supposed to all be divided into certain camps, and we're not supposed to cross the line on what the camp's beliefs are. Otherwise, we're ostracized. And that's what's happening with the people, whatever. Go ahead, Jen.
We're naturally divergent that way, though. We don't really join groups, so they can't really fit us into one. I mean, some of us.
But how many times, mentally think of it this way, what's calling us? Imagine calling us into, go over here if you believe this, go over here if you believe that. This way if you believe this. It's definitely, we're definitely being categorized, separated into social groups. And then those social groups have ironclad rules that if you don't speak the language of that group, social group, if you don't believe exactly what that social group believes, then you run the risk of being cast out. No one wants you. And the media system works with that. It's incredible. We're all in jail. We're all currently in jail. Because I love, like, you guys talking and stuff like this and sharing your thoughts. There's things that are coming to my light now, or knowledge, through different connections, inner circles, where I could go different ways on what we're talking about. And really, we should open the floor to looking at the puzzle and every single piece in new ways and new angles, because they have controlled the narrative, and each social group has been given a narrative that they have been able to whisper, and we're supposed to speak that language. I've been cut off by a lot of groups now that used to embrace me. Why? Because I'm starting to free think it. I'm trying to think outside the box. Right.
Me too. I'm sure you have too, Chad.
Yeah.
Today, my good news, my nurse discharged me. My wound is closed. And well, I give her like little bits and pieces of my knowledge, but she's so stuck in the Catholicism, and she's from the Middle East. And today, and I love her. Today, before she left, she gave me something. It was a rosary for my hands, and it had Mary and Jesus. She says, this has been exercised by the priest and blessed. And I'm like, thank you. I love you. I hugged her. As soon as she left, I put it outside, put Palo Santo sage dip, put my holy water. I'm like, I am not going to be shunned shunned for my beliefs. Thank you
Right,
for your gift,
right,
because that's
right.
where you are right now. But
Right.
you know what I mean? You
That's
don't
what I'm gonna tell
know,
you. Yeah, I
right?
agree.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna separate my heart from you both. Right? When we lay out that kind of setting, that kind of established thought and set it, we can build from there. We can go from there. Nothing's gonna they lose their power. And that's what we need to do. People listening in too. We need to set it so that ask ourselves, what matters? You matter. And nothing's going to change that. Right?
Okay, so Chad, you're up next.
No, I was gonna comment. I want to kind of ask Tom a question too, and what he feels, because you were talking about maritime law earlier, and Venice is a city that's on the ocean, correct? It's in the ocean, so it goes by maritime law, I believe, and that's where a lot of our elites are ruling from, and how they get away with it, from what I understand. And then when you research the mud flood and the reset, all our old pictures, you don't see anybody in our cities. You don't see anybody on the streets. You see a bunch of men in gray suits, and they're basically buying up you know, their properties and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see all the orphans and the orphanages and the orphan kids, and that's when we come along. So there's a they and there's an us type of scenario there. And do they think of us as being different? They eat us. And what do they think of themselves as being, and what do they think of us? You know what I mean? I don't think they think of us as being the weaker part of them. I think they think we're completely different species than them, the elite.
The elite, yeah, the elites, they consider us a threat. The George Bush said it. He said, if you're not with us, you're against us, basically. And that is their mentality. If you are part of it, chosen by the elite, and you don't play ball with them and say, yeah, I'll work, I'll be in your organization, do as you prescribe, then you are against them. You're an enemy. So they'll often try to keep encouraging you to join their fold, and do horror to you, destroy you. But at the same time, there's only one way, and it's their way in their mindset. And the interesting thing is they end up using the failed people, because they're the ones that are most pliable. They're the ones that'll, like the Wachowskis and Keanu Reeves did this, and Jill Silver. They'll say yes to anything in order to get ahead. I saw that at Religious Right all the time. Anything. They'll do anything in order to have the good life. My sister was that way, and then they brag about being all about power and success. So success is their thing. So either you're with them or you're against them.
Do you know what
So they would
success?
see us, yeah.
Sorry, Tom. Do you know what
Go ahead.
success means? According to Santos Bonacci in the Phoenician language, it means to succeed.
Good. All right, there you go. Some flax. But yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead. It's funny. They're nothing without their toys either. They're just sad little people without their toys. The sonic weaponry, the helicopters, the weapons, always looking for the latest thing, stealth bomber, whatever. They're
Oh my
always looking for
gosh.
that. It's like
Yes.
without those toys, they feel like they're nothing.
I have
Without
to tell you,
toys, as they say it, we're still complete. When they don't understand that. So to them, we must be insane that we can be content in a world where they prescribe there's no way to be content unless you join them and sell out.
speaking of toys, and I wanted to tell you guys earlier, and I'm glad you brought it up. Toys means a trigger word. So what Douglas Dietrich was saying is that he was a replicated. Okay, so his mother in Japan was an actress and a model, and Aquino was pretty much in love with her. Okay, he pretty much made some it's called Biofax Similagros, which are doll bodies replicated, craftily made with skin for touch. They're pretty much sex toys, but sex dolls, but they do express emotions, made by Japanese for generals. who would
Right.
go back at least into the 80s for sexual gratification, modeled after his mother. And they're
Really?
made out of celluloid, so that's why they break down. But what happened is when Aquino was found out about raping all these children and, doing whatever all the atrocious things he did, he set fire 3 of the children's, how do you say, orphanage homes. So
Yeah.
before he set the fire on the 3rd one, he took some of those dolls, and somehow Douglas Dietrich was able to save some of the dolls, and he has to talk to them sometimes and tell them, hey, it's going to be okay, like, oil them pretty much. It's crazy.
Now
These
these
people
dolls,
are
are
addicted to
these
sex and porn,
AI?
and
Are
yeah.
we talking about AI
Well,
dolls?
yeah, but they have skin. They have human skin and human teeth, and
Right.
yeah, but they're AI from the 80s. So it's pretty sad. These people are sick. Like,
Yeah, Japan's,
they'll
yeah.
sell their soul for eternal sex. You know what I'm saying? Or gratification.
Well, that's the thing. That's also the advantage we have that are free of them, which basically goes back to the screenplay again, which I was given to write about. So since they're so fixated on this self-gratification, things like that, those of us that are not, sure, we're a threat because we're able to actually think constantly all the time, formatively, apart from desire. We're actually planning things that work, and then we adapt to plan new strategies in new ways, which I'm doing right now with how to approach this whole mess coming up now. So it's like, yeah, so they're right. I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of me, and if I had the bells and whistles that they have, yeah. Hitler had said in World War II that if we better win, because if we don't, there are going to be repercussions all over for all Germans. Same with the cabal. The cabal feels like if they better win, if they don't, there's going to be repercussions for all the elite that had done the harm they did. And it's mind-boggling that they have these exit strategies that they actually do court our favor. If you want to know if you rate with the cabal, if you're rated as somebody they're concerned about, then you will know by them making offers to you to continually come on board, because that means they're concerned that if you succeed, you can turn the tables on them. And yeah, killing my 2 sons was going too far. Taking my intellectual property and bragging about what it was worth and that they took it, that's going too far too. And hurting my friends, yeah, that's going a little bit too far. So will I be vindictive when we succeed? I'll come to that bridge when we get there. Yeah. I'll decide their fates later if I have
We'll
that.
think about it.
Yeah.
We'll think about it,
Leave
right,
that
Chad?
open. Leave it open-ended. Go ahead, Chad.
Right, Chad? Sorry, I keep bringing up one of his altars as Dexter. I'm like, right, Chad? Tank, tank.
Oh, yes. Dexter. Yeah,
And I
it
have one
definitely is.
color.
Yeah, what I liked about Dexter though is you could push him to be a psychopath, but he's just gonna kill the ones that did it. He's the one that
Right.
kills instead of going against his own kind, he says, fine, you turned me into this, now I go against you.
Yeah, he kept his
so I do enjoy
very
that. Yeah.
rational, very focused. Yeah, the character's very focused. Yeah, it's very fun.
And with the CIA and the FBI, I've heard you refer to them before as shells or like vehicles, and so is it just a matter of getting the people that are driving them out and then taking over the agencies in a correct way so we can use them, or is it eliminating them altogether?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, we
Yeah.
have to determine, are they useful? Even if they were in a benevolent state and condition or mindset, are they useful? Do we need espionage, or is that creating problems? When the FBI says that they only go after those that go after them, what's their function? What's their usefulness? I think there's a way to encourage security and safety in the world without having organizations that specialize in espionage and murder.
Okay.
So I would say we don't need them. We don't need them at all. They're the problem.
Some people were talking about rehabilitation, but some of them, they're so far out that they cannot be rehabilitated. So
Once you get used to the lazy life, once you get used to the easy way of just taking, you need to be replaced.
they'll just destroy themselves too, as well. Because a lot of people, when I always say when the crap hits the fan, some of them are gonna go, oh, you know, they're gonna take themselves out because they're the truth is too much for them.
Yeah.
The truth of what they did to society, to children, to the women is atrocious.
Right. Well, you know what they said, yeah, you just brought something so important up. In World War II, when the Luftwaffe leader, Goering, he was caught, right? He turned himself in basically thinking that he could plea bargain his way out like Braun did with Paperclip, which incidentally CIA was involved in Operation Paperclip, we all know. Yeah. Anyway, so what he said was very interesting after he was captured. Goering, that heavyset man that had all that art, like Joel Silver, didn't make art, acquired it, tons of art. He said they lived like kings for over a decade. They lived like kings, that it was worth it. They lived like kings. That's the mentality we're dealing with the CIA and the FBI. What I just learned about Fitzpatrick from insiders now pushing home on him is that he is blatantly engaged in sexual activity with minors and others. He is definitely, they all know it. My sister knew it too. So what she said
You
was
see,
true.
I was
Gotcha.
just thinking that in my head, like Brian Fitzpatrick he's got to have a weakness, and I'm thinking that's where he can get caught the easiest is in that, because if he's being empowered like he is with his disposition or whatever that he is, and I just see him going in that direction.
It's true. He has.
Yeah.
See, it goes back to your
And
question of the agencies. But go ahead, Chad.
and is your sister being pulled in since she's the connection there with Patrick Fitzgerald? I mean,
She's
is,
in
Julia?
100% with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
100% in. She'll murder for him, and she has murdered my dad.
Yes.
And covered for the murder of Sean and Kirk. So she is so far gone. There's no retrieving her again.
What did she do to your dad? What happened?
What she did was she became his POA. She wasn't supposed to be, but way back she got him to sign a paper as a POA, her as a power of attorney. What happened was when he was in the hospital with a bladder infection, he was asking me to come and see him. She blocked it being his POA, even though he's begging for it. Because he was begging for me to come, it was ruining the narrative that Fitzpatrick wanted. So he had my brother and Julie claiming that I was waving a gun around, that my dad was screaming that I not be there and everything, just lying their butts off, right? Yelling at my mom. And so when my dad said, I want to see Tom, my sister blew up, started screaming and raging manically because she's bipolar. 1 and 2 probably, and bulimic. She started raging, went out of the room, screaming down the hall, and had my dad prescribed anti-anxiety and morphine and something else to make a cocktail that the next day it went from me talking to him on the phone where she's, get him off the phone, get him off the phone. He was going, Tom, you're a straight shooter. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Finish the job no matter what happens. The next day, after she had her episode, because he had been saying that to me, screaming and yelling and leaving the room and get him off the phone, whatever. The next day I got through and called him. He was like, Tom, I love you. He couldn't even, took 40 days to starve him to death. She claimed he shouldn't have any food. She murdered my dad. Yeah, because no one's supposed to help me. So yeah, that's Julia Zarco. Yeah, and walked out of his.
Wow.
Yeah, well, she's a monster now. She's a monster, and there's nothing I can do. She said she's never going to stop, and all I can do is go forward and try to remember good moments. That's what I do with people that become monsters. I try to remember the good moments and try to have them stay far away. And that's interesting because I'm
Okay.
some miles away from her and she's still claiming, screaming, he's going to kill me. He's like, no, I don't want to see her. I want to be
That's
around her.
interesting, Tom, because that's part of our documentary too. One of the questions that you just answered, you heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
looking
that's,
back into your
yeah.
childhood at Julia and Jack, and then your other brother, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
and the good times and the bad time, and when did you? Yeah, so we're gonna get into that in more
I'm so
detail
glad
on
you're
that.
doing that. I'm
So
so glad you keep doing
yeah.
that chat too. I'm so glad. It's like, but that's how I coped with it. I would remember what was good. Even on a person became a monster, I still try to remember good moments. And that way my mind, if they come to mind, I just think of that. Meanwhile, their job is to say, oh, he's gonna kill and this kind of stuff. And yeah, yeah. Which is very interesting, their mindset. Talk about delusional, because if she's holding a phone up to my mom, which is playing that clip that says, I'm just looking forward to the horror ending. That's a good thing to say. And I'll say it again. I am looking forward to the horror ending. She holds it up to my mom screaming, look, he's going to kill me. What does the horror ending got to do with murdering anybody? I'm looking for
Yeah.
everybody having the horror ending.
Yeah.
It's that mindset they have where they turn it to themselves, like what's in it for them, all that stuff. And using that clip out of all the clips, all the interviews I've done, saying that she was going to have, again, Secret Service and Fitzpatrick would put me away for life. Because I said I'd look forward to the horror ending. And she's screaming manically, look, he's going to kill me, he's going to kill me. No, Julie, we're not going to kill you. We wish you get some help. So, yeah.
Well, you're not, but I have a feeling somebody else will, and I have a feeling that's going to happen when she's no longer useful in
You are
her
spot
role,
on.
because I don't feel like she contributes anything other than her position, being your sister.
That's a really, really good point, because you're absolutely right. We've heard that from inside. Even another congressional person had said to me, she just sent me a message, says your sister is going to be taken out by Fitzpatrick's camp. She's too expensive and she's too much a liability and she's too vindictive. So people like my sister will be like, give me more, give me more, give me more. Where do you go from being given like honors on the floor of Congress for doing nothing? Again, that lazy mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the next award you're going to get? And she said to my mom that she was going to get an even bigger one. What's bigger than getting brought to the floor of Congress? What, a running mate? What's bigger? She already.
Is she the one that's planning to be the next female president? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of presidency,
yeah.
I said it wrong. Anyway.
Well, that's what's, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, no. I listened to Dark Journalist a lot. I love the way he like puts everything for me to understand. And he was saying how Kennedy is running, right? So he was saying that the best thing for Kennedy to do is to help out Trump. And then he can come back in 2008 to run, just like his brother JFK did. I think back in the day, remember somebody won, he was running, and then later on he came back and he won. Now, Mexico just got the first female president. Mexico, here we go. Here we go. So come on, USA. Come on, we need a female president. I'm in full.
Yeah. Well, that's so wild, is that, Trump, like I said, he knows our story. And basically what was passed around is, show me one good man or woman. Show me one good man or woman. And believe it or not, we're on that list. They know our story. They're amazed by our story, that we never collapsed, never gave in. And back to what Chad said, how they program, right? They're constantly saying words like, you're crazy, you're dangerous, you're suicidal. What did my sister say after my son died? The day my son died.
Disillusional.
Yeah. You need to say,
Disillusional is a big one.
yes, they love throwing it out like candy in a store, right? And they'll be like, you need to say you're suicidal, angry, and bipolar. That's what she was saying on the day my son died, right? No condolences. So that's, again, talk about programming, right? They want you to at least say it, and then you could be taken out and say, well, he said this. Unbelievable, forcing it down our throats, right? And then threatened if we don't say it on the day your son died. If you don't say this, you're saying I don't matter. If you don't say this, we can't have a relationship. They're desperate
And
to have you condemn yourself with what's not true. Isn't that amazing?
and that role she played there too. I mean, you don't put somebody to go up to someone to get them to say they're crazy and delusional and suicidal and read them a script and say, Tom, I need you to say you're crazy. You literally, you know, that's not the intelligent way to get them to say something like that.
Not at all. Not at all. And then how far did they go? The clinician that was going to protect me, that did the diagnosis, that said, yeah, you had PTSD, but you have, you know, super empathy, all this stuff. We were protected. 12 weeks to do that, to be protected with a diagnosis. My sister gets a hold of it, tears it up, like the redheaded queen on Game of Thrones, they're mocking her, tears it up, and then contacts that clinician with Fitzpatrick and gets her to turn around and say everything under the sun my sister wants, when I never had seen her again. How can you do a diagnosis after 12 weeks? And the law says you have to have 30 days of observation before you can create a new something or something else. Not even seen for a millisecond. But did exactly, because they had the address and phone number on top of the diagnosis my sister got a hold of that she didn't like. So she tears it up, and Fitzpatrick and her contacts that person and gets them to turn around. Complete vagrant bastardizing the law, twisting it. See, we've got to get our legal system back. We got to get it back. And when we get it back, like I said, it needs to be that a child can argue their case, that it's based on evidence, not opinion, and not gamemanship, and not threat, and not blocking evidence, you know, and due justice and process of law. That everyone should have that due diligence, that due process. You know, it's like that has not been the case. And they brag about it. People bragging in our country getting away with murder, right? It's like someday, like I agree. Yeah, my sister, it'll be Fitzpatrick's camp that takes her out. It'll be his camp. I think he
And there'll
secretly.
be a nice dinner preceding it, you know, beforehand. There's going to be a nice dinner and maybe even a nice trip that you're going on. And then,
Yeah,
right, you said they're always their kindest right before.
yes, yes, they are. Yes, they are. It's like Kevin Spacey and LA Confidential, whatever it was. You know, it's like, have you told anybody? It's like, and their egos, they play their egos because the egos are so high, they don't see it coming. They don't see it coming. And the
It's,
people that cared the most are the ones they're told to despise the most. They cut them off. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what he's going to be, Fitzpatrick's most pissed about? Julia Zarco telling family members and others that he's gay. That's what he's pissed about. That, you know, that's what he's pissed about. So here's another example of someone making it rough for the gay community. You know, another bad apple in the bunch who's
Yeah.
super powerful. You know, it's a complex web.
and you know, the CIA pretty much takes care of its own, you know. It's like the DARPA
Yes, they
agent,
do.
when he contacted me, he said, why are you speaking about what you speak about online? Nobody cares, he told me. You're
That's the
wasting your breath.
phrase.
And he said, guess who's gonna take you out? He said, the person that is breaking bread with you. Well, guess what? I turned it around on them and they're gonna take him out because he's with, you know, Black Ops, CIA. CIA takes care of their own. It's a threat. He threatened me. You know, he
I'm
took me
sorry.
to the ranch in Oracle, like past Oracle, Arizona. He says, do you know how many bodies I can bury here, Vero? And I'm like, you know what? I said his first name. If you're gonna take me out, go ahead right now, because I'm not stopping.
Right. Good for you. Good for
He
you.
said, so you really care about the children being taken and all that? You're not just talking about for you? And I'm like, no, I'm talking. First, I was talking, you know, to people about what happened to my life and all that stuff here. And now it's like, of course I care about the children. Of course I care about this realm we're in on Earth. And according to Santos Bonacci, there's 7 planets under us, which is all flat, like a 7 layer. Here's Earth, right? Which is the firmament, like Marconi said. Marconi says it's all, it's it's a firm, okay? It's not a hole. It's not round. It's not a hole in this, like the stars are holes, right? The sun is a portal. I'm going off on tangent, but what I'm saying is a lot of truth is being revealed right now. And CIA takes care of its own. And CIA lies too, because look at how, you know, the UAP thing, that's BS. There's no UAP, it's UFO. It's not just because it's underwater, you know, and a UFO pretty much it's Lockheed Martin, Dulles, Raytheon making these ships that people are gonna be, oh my gosh, the aliens are coming, you know,
Yep.
it's just a lot. It's like you said earlier, people are being torn apart and people want to choose sides. It's like I can't choose a side. I have
Right,
my
that's right. That's
my
right.
own life,
See,
my own.
that's what drives them crazy. That's
Yeah.
what drives them crazy when we answer like an answer where they go like, you know, whose side are you gonna be on? And we answer basically like, I'm watching, I'm observing, I'm gonna keep my options open, and I'm gonna be smart about it. That scares them. If we make a definitive response, then they feel like they've got something they can steer and control and work with, you know. But if we say, I'm leaving everything open, all puzzle pieces on the table, I'm not negating anything, I'm playing it smart, I'm going to be very aware, and I'm watching and I'm taking note, and I'm going to make the moves I need to make when I make them without full broadcasting. Now they get scared. They respect that because they're not able to do that themselves. There is so much deception that they get lost now. They don't know how to tell the truth. And our bodies, I believe our minds know if we lie. Our minds know if we're lying, and our brain capacity, our ability to function gets affected by lies because now our mind doesn't know what to do. Our minds are honest. They're made honest. They function from an honest parameters. And so if we put input lies and our mind knows we're lying to our own mind, we're going to short circuit.
Yeah, and our aura changes. The colors in our aura that are originally, you know, like I have some orange, some pink, and some lavender in there, and some green. So it'll change. I've seen my own aura. There's a thing that you can look up on YouTube how to see your own aura. And if I've never seen Ghostbusters 2, but I saw it the other day. And when not Venkman, but the other guy, the tall guy with the glasses, he's over here with an O-meter and he's giving a little girl a puppy.
Raymond.
And reading the energy so they can take the energy to use it for their black projects, for their, right, what we were talking about earlier. And then he says, take the puppy away from her. Let's see what happens. And then he has another group, which is a husband and wife fighting, right? They're arguing, and he reads their energy. And then he says, drop down the temperature, make it really, put up the temperature, make it really hot. And then so they get more angry and they read the energy, right? So all the energy, we are being harvested, right? For their projects. That's why it's very important, Tom, like you said, and Chad, how you know, we're supposed to be keeping honest, always honest with ourselves. Stay true to yourself because that's the only way to win. Love is the only way. You have to love yourself first. But if you're being, torn apart, are you going to be true to yourself? If you're going to be like, oh, I think I'm going to go with her today. I think I'm going to go with him today. Oh, that sounds good right there. Being distracted. So
another thing with their playbook too, you just made me think of it, is they look for what matters most to you. What you love most is going to be their target. It's like, what do you love most? What matters most? But like I said, that can be reversed back on them. They know the Neuralink is the creation of the work here. It came from God. It's in the work. It's something that's copyrighted, proven, published. So Elon Musk didn't create it, but it's like, the thing is, the Neuralink can be, like you said too, AI can be used for good, Chad. Absolutely. Neuralink could be used for good, especially in prosecuting. So villains, criminals. I propound that those that do crimes against humanity should be subject to Neuralink retrieval. So we'll get their memories and convict them with their own memories and thoughts. Case done. Yeah.
So. Yes, because like I said earlier, all unconscious minds are connected.
Yeah.
And you know what's fun? Yeah, they can't hide it. Go ahead, Chad.
Go ahead, Chad.
No, I just kind of see telling the truth and being truthful and being honest is kind of like riding a wave in a sense, because you never know. You're always having to balance, and you're always having to react in the moment. You don't ever know, and it's bravery to do that. Because you have to trust your own intuition and your own gut feelings. And but really there's no security there. It's kind of like you have to be raw, Baron, and
You know what?
um,
Them crazy just made me think of it. In depositions, like when they do depositions of me, they got so mad at me because when I would answer a question, I'd say, to the best of my knowledge at this moment, I believe, da da da. And they say, stop saying that. I said, no, this is true. In the best of my knowledge at this moment, I believe da 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 da. They hate that. They hate that. So yeah, just so anybody's out there having a face deposition, throw that in. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Especially when you say in this moment, that makes it all true.
There it
In this
is.
moment.
They don't like it. So that's one of the things for the playbook, how to beat their, gamemanship in the courts. So yeah. Yeah. This is great, guys. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to getting together. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing thoughts.
And 1 week is going to be okay for you, right? 1 week, 7 days.
Oh, absolutely. Aiden
So
has
leave on day
graduated with
1.
honors. He's graduated
That's
with
right.
honors.
Congratulations for Aiden.
Going to college. We're doing orientation soon. So I am going to
Yay.
be able to do whatever needs to be done. So yeah, I believe the
Okay.
timing is perfect.
I'm so happy for you guys and Aiden, and my son's gonna graduate too in December, and
Yay.
my soon to be, well, I always call him my son, but my son-in-law, he just graduated too. So I'm saying congratulations to all of you who had graduated or are graduating. I'm very proud of Aiden because I know how, I can just imagine how hard it was, with everything that you guys have been through. So my heart goes out to you too.
Well,
That's
thank
part
you.
of our documentary.
Yeah, thank you. It means so much. It means so much. I have his artwork in the room next to me spread out, and it's all the artwork he did. I felt when he graduated, I should take a peek. And there's so much there. There's so much there. And I suggest any parent would probably go benefit from doing something like that. But in it, I saw different periods of his life reflected through the art and what he was feeling at the time. And the one I saw was he had a star. He said, who's your hero? And he said, Tom, my dad. And he's like got a star on it and everything. And that means the world to me, at that moment that he felt that. So yeah.
One of the things too that I get not concerned with Adrian and stuff that we were going to talk about, like in the documentary a little bit, is like it's best to keep your circle small when he's living in the world that he's living in. And right now you're safe and you're part of that circle. So he's got to maybe think in those directions because he's graduating and stepping out on his own, and he's going to want to be independent. But can you really trust your friends? Can you really trust your, you know what I mean? Like keep your circles small, and I think that's what Aiden's going to have to do.
Yeah, he has a
really
very special, like a high honors group, this athletic and engineering, things like that. You're absolutely right. And like I've been here 4 years, right, in Houston, and he did his entire schooling at the same high school, which was the goal. And as far as close friends in this area, really one family. I've not, like I did exactly what you said. I did not get to know everybody. I kept it very insulated. So to do the job, but yeah. So I'm not a social bug.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Tom Althouse. Thank you, Chad Cooper, for being on. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. Please subscribe. And today is our 17th show here with Tom Althouse. I have a playlist on there, so you guys can look at that. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Ciao.